I have been looking forward to this moment for a long time now in the midst of our XANDRIA journey, and the fact that we're finally here, it's both shocking and highly elating. Now, of course, to be very clear on this with XANDRIA, in the midst of our journey together, which has been quite long, every step of the way has been quite promising, and most of the numbers of which I've entertained have been in mutual company, with some exception. But from what we have taken a perspective on together, again, in introductory focus, the XANDRIA arrival that I've experienced has been a quite welcome retreat. And if particular standout for me in terms of European metal-based favorability. Many of you know I love this space, but XANDRIA, quite a fun name that I've been wanting to dive deeper into. But again, my point of approach, right? We're in a very interesting place now from where we began several months ago with a XANDRIA exposure via the present-day standing of The Wonder Still Awaiting, and Ambra Voorhees, their new lead vocalist, was my point of connection via the Mortemia collab for the Hourglass. I knew there, like, XANDRIA automatically, and plus they were a recommendation, a light one though in my comment section, but still, you know, I take everyone considerably seriously, and I catalog every name you provide me, and it's been quite an extensive list since I am on my self-discovery journey of many talents abroad. It's certainly in the European circuit, but that provided such a wonderful doorway into what I experienced with XANDRIA, first with Reborn, and every piece since I've really liked as a listen. And again, I know XANDRIA, in terms of their era change-ups, appeal to different extremes. For sure, I have seen the conversations surrounding the group attributed by many fans. It's quite a good bunch of fans, in fact, but there is a diversity of a standpoint in terms of which approach is your favorite. I tend to be somewhere in the middle of each extreme has its own appeal in every respect, and XANDRIA still of today has as much capability as they did in the beginning. Now, I can say that, having a very recent introduction with all of you, for the most part, other than one reintroduction to Valentine, which is what compelled the change in trajectory, because I wasn't originally going to go back that far, but I decided to. And I'll, of course, look back into their advanced library for sure, probably on my own, but I decided to dig back first with Manuela Crawler, and those four numbers as an introduction were also quite welcoming. Again, specific command on the symphonic metal extreme, and one I really like, plus the operatic intrusion. And each vocalist, again, separately, whether it be Ambra or Manuela, and who we're getting to today, has had their own individual capability. It's been really cool to see that style intermixed. Again, everybody has their favorite XANDRIA appearance, where some of us perhaps are a bit of a floating space between what we like each one, and that's my angle. Present day, great. Past, fantastic. But this one I think is my favorite. Again, no disrespect to those other two artists or where we sit in terms of era spaces and what we've investigated together, but there's something really special about the era of Diana von Gilsbergen, and I have been waiting to get to her for so long now in, particular journeys I take with many leading European female vocalists of different metal extremes. In the symphonic metal territory, especially as somebody in my position who once would have thought it absurd when I was much younger that I would ever come to a favorability of loving opera as much as I do now, I have been ecstatic to do a Diana deep dive. And I've told you, I think indirectly, but I've hinted at it, this was coming. What I do for many other European talents and plenty of artistic voices within the music space on this channel, even abroad, outside of the European borders. But this is a particular favorite space for me. And Diana, she is a leading figure in terms of her operatic prowess, and quite beautiful as well in terms of a performer. I have not only, as you can see with this particular entry, Nightfall is familiarized to me, and I will say in preparation as well, Call of Destiny 2. This is in part what compelled our deep dive with XANDRIA, and I thought it'd be quite great to go through a mutual survey of history with the group of the different eras to give a well-rounded perspective, and plus, where we're going specifically with Diana, whether it be Ex Libris or her solo project. I'm really looking forward to that, or other collabs. I've done, in mutual company to other leading vocalists, specific deep dive journeys. And with Diana, I'm really liking what's in store for phase 2 as a future, where I'm currently sitting in terms of consultations, and it's a lot of artists I've collected, but Diana occupies a big chunk on this sheet of paper that we're going to explore together and perhaps pave routes for you if you've not yet been introduced to her graces. Trained spinto soprano singer, I believe I did read as well, but she's a vocal coach. She has every right to be. The woman, when you hear her sing, holy crap, she's amazing. I just want to kind of dig into the number immediately. I know I always provide these long-winded introductions. I do try to simplify, but I'm in part hoping any of you who've not yet, maybe you find yourself in a position where I say operatic vocalist or the spinto soprano extreme, which is quite high, and you're probably like, I don't know how I'm going to feel about this. Just go in. Don't give it much forethought. Just humor it on impulse. I promise you'll like it. And you'll probably come into a respect of opera and maybe this will be your initiation to the journey of humoring many other leading operatic vocalists I find quite favorable. And there's many to mention from a number of different groups. But Diana, ooh, she's one of my favorites, not to undercut anybody, but just the brief window I've had of her via Nightfall and Call of Destiny. I thought it'd be fun to start here, right? Normally I go in order of album listings, but this is what introduced me to her. Nightfall first, and then we'll come back with a selection of tracks off of Sacrificium in the midst of, again, our deep dive history into XANDRIA. We'll go in order, but I decided to initiate here because this was my introduction to her. Just a small look that is on reintroduction status. I wish it were on a fresh impression witness. I like taking those, but ooh, I've been waiting to talk about Nightfall and to enjoy it with you again. However you approach, longtime fan of XANDRIA, maybe you're as well a particular fan of the Diana von Giersbergen era. She was just, again, XANDRIA's history, understandable that she did depart after a while for, I guess, a mixture of circumstances. She was one of the best. Though again, Manuela, Amber, equally capable in their own rights, and individual stylizations for sure. But Diana, what a performer. If you've not yet been introduced to her or XANDRIA, I think you're going to fall in love, especially of this era. Nightfall, and again, most of what we're witnessing together is going to be on Fresh Witness, but Nightfall's not. It's an informed piece of how I'm walking in on perspective, and I've been waiting to enjoy this one with you. Commencing our Diana deep dive. I'm so excited. The future's so bright here. I have gone back to this number so many times. Vocals, musical balance to everything is just paired so well. But her extremes, you'll see. Perfect relay on the melodic. Just so subtle reaches, man. And that rapid power metal-esque bass to all the riffs, just so good. Just a beautiful work.
We are worshiping the gods that keep twisting our thoughts. Every day a new sensation. While a million creatures see their soul turn into dawn.
The natural vibrato, too. It's such a clean delivery, isn't it? Every time I hear it, it's just such a piercing resonation. And the choruses are based on notes rather confined, but again, she's just hitting everything perfectly, and the flow just tracks with such an even grace. Here we go. One of my favorite sections in particular of the song, which just gets even better. Here she goes. Just love how that note hits meshed with the choir. Even if I'm limited on exposure to her graces and talents, I mean, I'm kind of a super fan over here, just how much I've listened to this song. First listen since, I've just fallen in mad love with it. and grand finish. I have been waiting for freaking forever to get to this number. And again, this is not to override anybody else. I've given a mutual consideration here, and it's a wide pool of artists, but Diana has been on my mind constantly with this song. And I will also tell you, I've spoken about this before lightly with, well, I'll come back to that. In respect to Nightfall, it's not just the main visualizer that I've watched. I would highly recommend, by the way, because of the way the choruses are constructed in comparison to the main music video and CD publication versus the live performances. There's one in particular that I will cite that any developing XANDRIA listener, and probably many of you I'm sure have seen it, but if you haven't, it is worth your time to watch. The vibrato on her voice, and again, how piercing her operatic tones are even better amplified in the live video, as good as the original condition of Nightfall is. And you can hear again the hint of that in subtlety. Even though the number has such an even balance to it, again, articulation, it's got a steady, approachable grace that's so evident, smooth. And, that's the thing about XANDRIA and their vocalists. Whatever era you're in, there's quite capable delivery. And Amber, in her credit, even some of the live shows that I've seen, she's really fallen into her role. Even though, again, from the CD production side, I fell in love with her. But based on those live performances, I think more time spent with those numbers in particular, she's really grown. I've seen a subtlety in that. But Manuela and Diana as well, whatever facet of XANDRIA you look at, I find quite exquisite delivery. And I know, again, that might be a subjective determination, right? Music is very much a subjective art in how we approach. But, I think I'm confident in saying that most of us look at the Diana era, even with my limited exposure, just on forethought of what we could be in for, just based on a taste of Nightfall, and what I've seen in certain live appearances. This is sort of, again, XANDRIA's voice that everybody knows and loves. Nightfall is such a great encapturing of that, again, in the symphonic mood. It's such a brilliant publication. The key choice is quite dominant. The power metal side to the instrumental scoring, and again, symphonic metal does have some variability, but I would call that a power metal-esque structure, because it evidently is, but the faster pacing meshed with, again, such a graceful voice with smooth and slower lingering development. I love this piece. And the beauty, is about XANDRIA's eras and the versatility of in their artists. With credit to Valentine as well, Diana, I guess you could say maybe 3 exposures technically, because I have seen with Valentine's respect, and this is something that you see quite commonly with XANDRIA now of present days, past numbers are performed. And Amber, by the way, to give her proper credit, she's done a great job with some of these pieces. I watched in particular, I think it was Nightfall, in fact, from the recent Camelot tour, which I didn't get to go on, and I really wanted to be there. Anyway, I'm still upset with myself for that, but I did watch a live performance recording of it, and she was fantastic. I thought, again, Diana might have specific regard, again, as the originator and the voice of that number that everybody knows, but Amber really impressed me. Again, she's really grown into her role with XANDRIA. But as well, Diana, when she came up, I have seen that performance of her doing Valentine, so originally Manuela's voice. She's such an engaging performer, too. And I don't know if this is specific with operatic vocalists. Again, I'm still learning, on my own journey here. I've seen this at play with other vocalists too, which is why I wonder if it is such a mainstay, specifically, I would say, within European metal publications. There's this unique performance vibe, again, with movement and physicality that comes up in operatic performances that I oftentimes see. And Diana specifically, again, I think of that Valentine performance that I'll, of course, cite that you should watch. And the subtle dance that you as well likewise see with Nightfall. It makes the number, I think, even more approachable, but it creates such a good performance and one that's incredibly engaging on the cinematic side. And plus on the video presentation, a good location choice. I love the violet shadowed rubble. It's an interesting, I don't oftentimes see that, but with the shadows, it feels quite classy on delivery, which XANDRIA does reach that height, certainly on musical delivery, 100%, and the operatic cues definitely embody that. But Diana as a performer, isn't she great? I love her. Oh my gosh. I cannot tell you how many times I've been re-listening to Nightfall in particular, knowing again that phase 2 considerations are quite robust, but just in the back of my mind going, I want to get to this number whenever it is, because I know this is going to initiate our long journey with Diana discoveries for the most part. And coming up next with XANDRIA development, that is going to be the case with Sacrificium. The title number, in fact, I believe is the first one we're getting to. Let me confirm that really fast. Even though I think it's a 4-track selection on first appearances other than Nightfall, because again, I know this one. Yes, Sacrificium will be the initiator encounter. I think it's the longest track, too, on the record. It's like over 10 minutes. Oh, it's going to be a fun ride, isn't it? I love operatic vocalist. Diana? Ooh. You know, there's a bunch I like, but she's quickly inching up to my favorite. By the way, I forgot to mention with her, Dutch origin. That's a particular favorite space of mine in terms of what advanced me, I guess, into a knowledge and a greater development of understanding within European metal. I can think some of my other favorites that came out of that wheelhouse. Blackbriar. I know they did some things together, by the way, in conjunction to Diana's solo stuff with the videos. Oh, I can't wait to get to those projects. What is that one? After the Storm and the newly unveiled Unleash the Storm with a third one. Just recently announced, I think, on her community page on YouTube. Well on the way. Or somewhere, maybe it was Instagram, I forget. But I think there's a third track in development whenever that unveils itself. Oh, I can't wait to get those points. Our Diana journey, like XANDRIA, is quite extensive, but developing. And I've been waiting for the initiator encounter with such a competent song, isn't it? For anybody, I'd love to hear down below, too, again, on First Witness, if this was that for you. I know many of you are probably going to approach Nightfall being familiarized on score like I am. It made its way in. You know, in fact, I was keeping up with my promise to you that I was going to dive back into some earlier XANDRIA offerings. That's what I said with The Wonder Still Awaiting. And we've made a lot of returns to that album in particular, and I think actually we're going to come back to it again. Anyway, just in advance notice, it was just in the midst of that, you know, that I was entertaining Nightfall and just one listen. And the minute I heard it, I'm like, this woman can sing. Just, again, that pitch and the resonance on her voice. And again, that chorus section's quite constrained, just jumping back between different notes. And I think it's limited to a D flat to a G, I'm pretty sure. I think. And again, a higher spinto soprano capable range, which she easily masters. There's such an ethereal touch to the way her voice develops, but the grace married to the number, whether it be on the operatic drifts or the melodic, just perfect delivery. She nails every note. Plus, again, that bridge section, oh my gosh, the strength in the, which word is it? Meshed again with the chorus, which is quite familiarized with XANDRIA. I think it's I think it's Undying. Just the force on that, and again, matched, of course, with the visualization and the performance. She really puts a lot of effort into her vocality. It's truly... I've waited for our chapters of exploration and mutual company with Diana, and we're finally here with Nightfall. The perfect piece to initiate our ride on. Every time, I'm just elated at the experience. And really, any artist, you know, it's a general affirmation I give everybody, but Diana, oh, I have been so ecstatic to get to this point. And with XANDRIA, it's been a fun ride every step of the way, but the Sacrificium initiation with Diana, starting here, and then in development of Ex Libris, Diana, other attached projects, oh, I am going to be in heaven. I think many of you will be too. I'd love to hear down below, though, if perhaps this was your first taste of operatic metal, or that type of extreme. I know, as I said, don't give it much forethought of judgment if you're not necessarily an operatic fan. Just go in with an open mind. Didn't she impress you? Oh my gosh. You know, I've tried so hard to get people that I know personally to be connected on music tastes, and I have tried with Diana in particular with this number, and Call of Destiny as well. And this is what I've said is great about, you know, mutual company here, that we're exploring works together that appeal certainly to my tastes and many of yours. And maybe in some cases, yes, there's been some numbers that have reached out to you, perhaps, where I think there's been disclosure of this. Some of the artists I've spotlight with particular style leanings have created an impression where you didn't think there would be one, or it didn't necessarily match your first favorites, but you have a welcome, you know, approach, Matt. Did Diana and XANDRIA for this era appeal to you via Nightfall? And we're going to spend a lot more time here, so if you want to enjoy that in a greater depth and test that exploration of new numbers, and again, I would highly recommend keeping an open mind to opera. I did. Just in my early introduction, I was quite surprised by it, and I've fallen madly in love with it now. And, you know, I'm somebody that does prefer more agitated metal, voluntarily. You know, that's my first general preference. Well, okay, you know, it's actually evolving, I would say. I still love agitated, more aggressive metal, like stuff again on the power, heavy metal type extremes, but I don't know, operatic metal, certainly symphonic is a favorite, but operatic is like quickly leveling up. Anything again with that employment, it's quite natural for symphonic metal, again, quite a range and depth, but that atmosphere I love. And Diana, what a contribution. She was a perfect fit for XANDRIA. Man, we're going to get more windows of that again, a fresh experience. I can't wait for those discoveries alongside all of you. But what were your thoughts on Nightfall if this was a first exposure for you? Or if you're a longtime fan, I'd love to hear your contributions as well down below. Again, open platform here for who approaches it. We're enjoying music and company, and for Xandria's real highlight era, or one of them, again, to each their own in terms of which is their favorite, but I think all of us would generally agree, even if we have a vantage point of favorability towards everybody, this is Diana, when she was a part of the group, was a standout performer. And she still is, in her own rights with other attached projects, but in the Xandria midst, boy, they really had something special with her. And these pieces, they're some of my favorites of recognition here, whether they be in knowledge of what I've entertained or just on suspicion. I am looking forward to our future. I can't overstate that enough. I am so excited about our juniors in particular with Diana van Gisbergen and our exploration mutually. And every step, I just have foreknowledge of what we're going to be doing, and it really is a deep dive, but one, of course, with the European medal attribution and Diana's individual credit, with substantial promise, as embodied very well by Nightfall, in my opinion. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.